We are living during a time that I believe will go down as the greatest opportunity for accelerating innovation in the history of humankind. Yet, we also find ourselves tragically faced with mounting crises and shattered trust with our institutions. Over the next 18 minutes, what we're going to do is we're going to step back into the past and we're going to step forward into the future, and we're going to ask three questions, come face to face with three questions. First, let's dig into the past. There's some great historians, Strauss and Howe, who have written multiple books about how history repeats over time. And they have this great metaphor of seasons: winter, spring, summer, and fall. During winter is an era of where decades of mounting crises reach a climax. Winter is this time where these decades of mounting crisis reach their climax. And then we end up going into spring. And spring is a time where we usher in a new beginning in society, and where society rebuilds, expands, and then rebuilds and expands, and it repairs the trust, the shattered trust with the foundational institutions. Then we usher back into summer. Summer is a time when society has a spiritual awakening, much like what happened during after the Kennedy assassination. Summer is also a time when we challenge, when the very policies and institutions that were created during and just after the crisis are challenged. And then we head into fall. Fall is an unraveling period that leads us right back into winter. Interestingly, there are 82 years between the end of the Revolutionary War and the end of the Civil War. There are 81 years between the end of the Civil War and end of World War II. And if we project forward 80 years, we find ourselves at 2026. Yes, right now we are in winter. And we can expect over the coming decades, over the next 15 years, that the biggest challenges that face society today will reach their climax. Cyber warfare, terrorism, the sovereign debt crisis, you name it, and we will reach its climax. The shattered trust between institutions and its citizens, its members, its employees, and its followers. We need these institutions these institutions will either transform themselves from the inside out, or they will wait too long and be transformed from the outside in. The bad news is that things get worse before they get better. But the good news is we find ourselves at the beginning of the next huge economic revolution. So you can see that the beginning of the first industrial revolution overlapped with the Revolutionary War. And the model continues until we get to where we are now, at the beginning of the life sciences revolution. The good news is that the best years of the technology revolution are ahead of us. So if you've ever thought of robots mowing your lawn, or having a computer integrated into your brain, or you name it, cars flying or driving you somewhere, pretty much anything that's possible that we can imagine will become possible. In life sciences, we'll see that programming life will be just like programming computers is today. Diseases such as cancer will be healed easily. And the downside is that programming new viruses will become prevalent. So we see that the past is cyclical and repeats. And you may be asking yourself the same questions that I was asking myself. First, is there anything we can do as leaders within our own sphere of influence to take action and minimize the crisis? Secondly, is there anything we can do to maximize the opportunity that's in front of us and take advantage of the best years of the technology revolution and these early years of the life sciences revolution? And lastly, if we can see the pattern, can we break the cycle? Or are we destined to crash every winter? and have generations repeat this insanity again and again and again. I propose that we can do all three. I'm going to grab some water. It's a monumental task, but we've taken those on before. One of my favorite Americans is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He showed us that these deeply rooted cycles can be broken. He took on generations of history, and he inspired people to rise up and overcome them, breaking years and generations of oppression and injustice and ushering in a new wave of freedom and opportunity. With African Americans in leadership throughout society, including the White House, all people of all races around the world can see that these cycles can be overcome, and I believe that we shall overcome these as well. Let's start with the first question. Is there something we can do to minimize the crisis? The answer is yes. We can call the paramedics, or we can be the paramedics. Now, I've been thinking about this for a while, and it took a personal crisis to create clarity for me. In September of this year, I had a manic episode brought on by a bipolar disorder that I didn't know I had. It's a condition that causes extreme mood swings, from hopelessness to euphoria and excessive mania. The mania got so bad that I wouldn't listen to anybody who was trying to help me. I left my wife with no other option but to call the paramedics and have me hauled from my home and taken away for care. Now, in hindsight, the good news is bipolar is pretty easily treatable. Second good news is that I'm in pretty good company with Theodore Roosevelt, Winston Churchill, Mark Twain, Van Gogh, Beethoven, and even Ted Turner. So, I was asking myself the same question personally that we're asking for society. Is there something that someone could have done in the midst of that crash that would have gotten me to accept help? The answer is, unfortunately, no. Now, I love this world, I love this country, and I love my life. But I needed someone to take bold action. I needed somebody to call the paramedics. And even then, when the paramedics arrived, I needed them to take control and act decisively. It was only when I realized I had no other options that I finally capitulated and gave in completely to their care. Similarly, our world is in crisis, and we need to stop tolerating and enabling the crises that persist within our sphere of influence. It needs us to call the paramedics and create awareness of issues that exist or forgotten opportunities. It needs us to, our world is in crisis and needs us to act boldly and decisively. History shows that our leaders will not act fast enough. They think they can manage their way through it just like I thought I could. All we have to do is look at the debt crisis in Greece or in our own country, and we can see that they will only act, that the patient will not accept help until it realizes it has no other options. So is there something we can do to minimize the crash? Yes. We can call the paramedics, or we can be the paramedics. Let's move to the second question. Is there something we can do to maximize the opportunity? Yes. We can stop acting from a place, if we stop acting from a place of fear and scarcity, and start acting from a place of love, purpose, and abundance. We can not only maximize the opportunity that's in front of us, but we can lift the standard of living and quality of life for all people across the world. Let me give you an example of what I mean. One of the biggest fears in society is a shortage of clean drinking water. The fear and scarcity model says there's not enough water. So I'm going to strategize on controlling it and fighting for it. It sees obstacles before purpose. And it's rooted in cutthroat, hyper-competitive, and paranoid behavior. As we could see from Andy Grove's book, Only the Paranoid Survive, which epitomized the beginning of the technology revolution. The love and abundance model looks at it completely differently. It sees desired outcomes first. It's rooted in trust and collaboration. In this model, we say there's plenty of water around the planet, so some of it's salty. It asks the question, what can we do so that all of us have clean water? Perhaps we would bring in the best scientists in the world who are passionate about clean water and have them solve it. Now, I know you may be thinking, Mark, there's too many obstacles for that, and this is idealistic thinking, and it doesn't take into account the competition-driven capitalist marketplace. But there are dozens of examples in society where organizations are operating out of the love and abundance model. 3 quick stories. One, a wellness company grew from $0 to $85 million in revenue in just 15 months. What's interesting is they actually take their mountains of intellectual property and they give it away. Unheard of. Why would they do that? Because their purpose is to dramatically impact wellness around the globe, and they can improve and accelerate their purpose by giving it away. In interviewing their president, he claims that the next generation of economic cycle is not about ideas, it's about execution and impact. Second story, there's a company out of China, and they are a diagnostic imaging company. Each installation is $1.5 million. What's unique is they give it away to hospitals. Unheard of. Why would they do that? Because their purpose is early detection of cancer when it's most treatable. And the way that they can affect that purpose is to have a larger installed base. The way to do that fastest is to give it away. Now, they care about money and they want profit, but profit is an outcome. It's not the objective. Last example, Illinois Math and Science Academy in Aurora, Illinois. They created a global collaboration portal where students and professionals can come together and share their research and development in an open source model. They have over 1,000 people signed up and dozens of projects. One of them that I thought was really cool is the students that wanted to create biodiesel fuel out of miscanthus grass. And so they collaborated with a team out of China and another team in Northbrook, Illinois, and they were able to accelerate their success faster than any one of them could have ever done it on their own. If I had to guess, or if I had to guess, if the technology revolution was all about ideas, hyper-competition, and profit, 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 then the next life sciences and the next wave of innovation or of accelerated growth is going to be all about execution, hyper-collaboration, and impact, impact, impact. So is there something we can do to maximize the opportunity? Yes. We can stop acting from a place of fear and scarcity, as I did earlier today, and start acting from a place of purpose, love, and abundance. Let's take the last question. If we can see the pattern, can the cycle be broken? Or are we destined to repeat this insanity again and again and again? The answer to this is also yes. Going back to my bipolar story, there's another insight to be discovered. My doctor told me that this disorder is cyclical and that I could expect it to flare up around February of each year. Now, it is too important to me and my family and friends that I don't repeat this. And so I'm again asking the same question of myself personally. Is there something, or can the cycle be broken? The solution starts with recognizing that a cycle actually exists, and then having a burning desire to break it, collaborating with trusted people who are aligned on the same purpose, having a plan, and then effective execution. Now, I am not here today to share a plan for the world, but I do dream that we can break these cycles forever. Dr. Martin Luther King's dream was so appropriate for its time, and with all the respect in the world to him, we have come to another time in history when we need his torch passed to the next generation. We need a new shared dream. A dream where all of us look around our sphere of influence and we look at the things that we're tolerating, we stop tolerating them, where we make that unsettling call to the paramedics, or we show up and we be the paramedics on the scene. A dream where we all reconnect with our God-given purpose and we overcome our fears and our self-limiting beliefs. And then collaborate to take on the biggest challenges that face society today and accelerate innovation so that we can help advance the human condition. A dream where the major institutions, governments, religions, communities, businesses focus on repairing trust with their citizens, followers, employees, and members. We're all going to leave here today with our heads spinning with new ideas. Take a pen and jot down on a piece of paper or on your hand this one. The mood of the world is ready for massive transformation. Let's honor Dr. Martin Luther King and other great leaders who came before us and showed that these cycles can be broken. Let's do that by creating and fulfilling a new dream. I have a dream that one day we'll look at each other and we'll say, we did it. Where our children's children will say, thank you, Grandma, thank you, Grandpa. You didn't have to act proactively. You could have waited for the crisis just like everybody else, but you didn't. You chose to act. Let's architect the future. Thank you.